To date, we're only about 9 inches of snow, which is about half as much as what we would get in a typical winter compared to the almost 34 inches we had last year. Temperatures wrapped up about 7 degrees above normal, and that made this area the fourth warmest winter since 1880. So warm and less snow, but as far as liquid precipitation, the rain, we're right where we should be for that whole 3-month period of winter.
Can you make a correlation, or is there information that you can give us that draws from a warm and snowless winter, nearly snowless winter, into what should happen in spring and summer here of 2012?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of correlation with spring as far as temperatures, but with precipitation, we can make the correlation that it's very close to normal, what we would get, which is roughly, when you add March, April, and May together, a little over 10 inches of rain for that period. We've seen that a lot. As we get into summer, though, we see a correlation with warmer temperatures and precipitation, again, very close to normal for June, July, and August.
Looking at some of the charts you had during your presentation, and that there just isn't much correlation for those years that were kind of warm and snowless in the winter to any sort of a summertime or a springtime situation like that.
Yeah, especially in the springtime with temperatures, there was no correlation that could be made whatsoever between the spring after a warm and snowless winter, but a little bit more during the summer toward the warmer side.
Overall global weather patterns still in effect on what's going on here in the Midwest. Do we know if it'll be a La Nina year? Is it weakening? El Nino? What are the specific conditions currently?
The La Nina, which is the cooling water in the eastern Pacific near South America, that actually is starting to warm up a little bit, so that is going to start fading here very soon, which is pretty typical. We usually see that start to drop off as we enter spring. As far as what's ahead beyond that, because late summer it starts to form again or make a switch, there's a possibility it could make a switch toward El Nino for next year, which means for us in the fall and winter, the possibility of another mild winter. But that's something that's, we're still watching, and we still got to wait a few months before we see that develop.
It's about average here, but we've seen some exceptional droughts in parts like northwest Iowa and Minnesota. Texas, of course, we know has just been very, very dry there for an awful long time now. Do you know, or are there weather patterns that might set up? Is there a change for some of those other areas in the U.S. Agriculturally wise that have been stricken with some pretty dry conditions?
Yeah, the weather patterns we're seeing would indicate that the drought in Iowa and Minnesota is expected to persist, and in fact may actually expand into the Dakotas as we get through the springtime. There could be some relief in eastern Kansas and parts of northeast Texas and the southeastern United States. But drought is expected to expand into the Rockies too. So here in the Midwest, we don't see any widespread areas of drought coming into our area outside of western Iowa.
Might be hard to predict, but the flash drought of 2011, is there a way you can put a percentage on that or a likelihood that we could run into that situation again here in Illinois for 2012?
Yeah, those short-term droughts are really tough because that's something that even last spring and summer we really were not anticipating at all. We were coming out of a very wet spring, flooding across many areas during late May and June, and in fact in a lot of river basins, not just in Illinois but outside the area. And that is really not conducive to having a drought. And that's why we had this flash drought where it hit very quickly and all the storms just went around us and we didn't get much in the way of rain at all here. So, yeah, those are really tough to call on a seasonal level.
As we finish up here with you, we've seen some unfortunately severe, devastating, deadly weather already in Illinois and across parts of the Midwest. Clearly in severe weather times currently. I mean, it is March and severe weather preparedness time, but this is the time where those storms can strike.
Absolutely, and we're right in the middle of severe weather preparedness week this week, and this is something that we are afraid of with the mild winter. We started talking about this in January when we saw that, okay, this mild winter is going to continue. We got to really look at the next few months for severe weather striking early. So the main point for everybody is be alert for the strong and severe storms, not waiting until April, May, and June, but happening now and continuing into the early spring.